So, how exactly is mining blockchain going to reduce our carbon footprint? Hey, I'm John Harris, and welcome to another episode of Exponential Radio. And we're talking all things blockchain. And in fact, the same can be applied to AI. I mean, some of these big computing power from these big quantum computers are having to be decentralized because they consume so much electricity. You've seen the Blackwell, the new chip, the twin chip. It's absolutely mind-boggling how strong these things are and how big they've become, how powerful. So 10% of GDP, is already stored on blockchain, and probably more than that by now. It's changing so rapidly. And 20 billion plus in the blockchain on Bitcoin, for example. So these are big numbers and they're growing exponentially. It's going to have a major impact, and I never really considered the whole implication of this. So these are the things that we can think about today, some of the ideas we can chat about. Some of the positives and again negatives. It will have financial inclusion for emerging markets, direct access to transacting where you're not having a middleman. So obviously you're on a centralized blockchain system, digitized, cuts out all the middlemen. There's going to be an explosion of assets that are put onto blockchain. So we know about the crypto, but every other asset's also going to be on the blockchain and be tokenized as such. So those ability to trade those and the consequences thereof, tax-wise, everything else will all be done basically automatically. Property records, especially in emerging markets, are going to be registered digitally, and they're going to be like tradable assets, more of tradable assets globally then. Services linked by codes to blockchain, and this will have things like smart contracts, etc. So it's all going to be registered there and built into this global ledger. It's going to be unbreakable escrow, which is good. Increased transparency on the global ledger. So those are some of the positives. And let's obviously look at the counter side of that, some of the negatives. With all of these technologies, we've seen there's some positive and negative. I guess it depends whether we take the left lane or the right lane. It depends how we're going to get on with these technologies. Eventually, we're going to have to make some wise decisions. So on the negative side, obviously, we're worried about the hacking and so forth. Bitcoin, believe it or not, has been hacked. People have had stuff taken, and that's not necessarily through cracking the code, but through people's actual login and so on and so forth. And how are emerging markets not included now? So we spoke before about emerging markets being, more inclusive for them. I'm not sure how they aren't now, because we have systems already in place, but apparently these are going to be more efficient. So will the assets on the blockchain be linked to a citizen scorecard? Now, this is the thing that everybody's worried about, as introduction of digital IDs, central digital currencies, and obviously citizen scorecards and so on and so forth. These are things we're going to worry about, because you will find, should you breach any of these things, the requirements are already getting more and more difficult to acquire some of these. I got a car recently, and that was just crazy what we have to do to get verified. So you can imagine what's going to be coming down the road. And what it will do, I think, perhaps, is limit the number of people that are purchasing cars. So it's going to start to limit the ownership of vehicles, property as well. And that's something you're going to have to think about going forward, is ownership. Other things to think about, who will own the blockchain? Who's going to own that algorithm? Who will be, and how will all these assets be registered over time? Will those assets be taken out of the hands of certain people and put into the hands of other people? This is something that we've got to be thinking about. How will it all be regulated? So who's going to create the framework, the judiciary and the financial and legal frameworks around these things? How are they going to do that on a global scale with different land laws, universal maritime law, sure, but that's not going to cope with this either. It's going to have to be in a whole other set of paradigms. Programmable by an AI algorithm. So remember, we've spoken about these, especially when we're talking about digital currency, but all of these blockchains, they will be programmable. And those are lots of consequences. We know with central digital currency, there'll be a lifespan and it'll expire. When programmable, if it's done by AI, is how it'll be tracked and traced, and everything will be followed through a very powerful set of algorithms, AI to check on taxes, to check internationally what's happening. If it's a centralized global system, which they want, will it allow you to shop where you want? Will it allow you to travel where you want? These things are all starting to go onto a ledger. So we'll see how that all pans out. But those are some of the things to think about. I mean, on the other side, there are opportunities for people who are that way inclined to look at blockchain and how they can get involved with blockchain. So it's pretty exciting there. I'm not sure on the crypto side whether they're going to start to limit the number of cryptos out there, platforms, mining houses, etc. Whether they're going to limit them then to specific things like Bitcoin, and then whether their Bitcoin's also going to become under the jurisdiction of the central digital currencies, whether it will remain or whether we'll have to transfer into the central digital currencies. So we'll see how that all pans out. Anyway, that's as usual. You can get a little bit more information on our previous episodes at johnarthurharris.blogspot.com, and we will see you in the next episode.